All right, y'all. So real quick, had a hard session Friday. Today's Sunday. Gonna do a little bit of prehab. The number one thing I love to do, I'll do it for like warm-ups and cool downs too and stuff, and just throughout the day if I find it necessary. It's just kind of like yoga hand routine I made up, right? I got the concept from a physical therapist who was using it to help his patients recover from carpal tunnel syndrome. But I tweaked it over a period of, 3-4 years. I've been doing it, and I've got it down to pretty good point where I get a mad pump in my forearms when I do it, and it feels fantastic. And I'm moving my wrist through all of the ranges of motion. So I'll start bent arm and really use my biceps contracted to really bend my elbows, and then I'll be in a pronated position, so palms down, and I'll go into extension with the intent, that I want my fingers to touch my wrist. It won't happen, obviously, because I'm not that flexible, but that's my intent, and that's how I'm keeping tension in this whole line right here. And from here, I'm doing these finger movements. I'm opening and closing my hand. Not just whatever, but vigorously, really stretching and finding a more full and open range of motion each time I'm doing it. Alright, so I'm starting off an extension, and then I'll go into flexion, do the same thing with the intent, again, to have my fingers touch my wrist. Won't happen, but that's how I'm keeping that tension in this line now. When I'm doing this, I'm stretching this. When I'm doing that, I'm stretching that. So it's an active stretch as well as just a good, pump blood into the area kind of thing. And I'll go pronated, I'll go supinated, and I'll go neutral. And then I'll also go through wrist movement in this plane. So I'll do radial deviation, ulnar deviation, and I'll be doing the same thing, opening those hands and closing them vigorously while keeping this whole line tight. Opening up this one, and I'm doing it this way. Opening up this one, keeping that one tight. And I'll go through the same angles. So I'll do, pronated, palms down and deviated. And then I'll do supinated and deviated, and then I'll do neutral and deviated, right? So that's kind of the long-winded explanation, but let me go ahead and show you what the hell I'm talking about. I'm just going to stand up and do it. Shoulders down and back. Alright, keeping everything in the center line, squeezing the lats, bending elbows vigorously. Show from this angle first. 10 to 20 reps each. Number one is here. Pronated and extension. Then pronated with flexion. Supinated with extension. Supinated with flexion. Neutral position. Extension and neutral position. Flexion. I'm already getting a crazy pump. Ooh. Then back to this one. This is pronated with radial deviation. So thumbs are pointed in, then pinky is pointed out, ulnar deviation, and pronation. Supination with radial deviation. Ooh! It's hard to talk and do this, because I have to concentrate, because I'm actually trying hard. That's the whole point. I want to try doing these motions vigorously, so I get a nice pump. Now neutral with radial deviation. Good Lord. And ulnar deviation in a neutral position. Ugh. All right, now lock arms and immediately, ooh. This time, triceps are locking the elbows straight, and I'm doing the pronated extension and then pronated flexion. I'm going through all the same motions, again with straight arms, getting a crazy flush of blood now into my hands. Ooh, it feels good. Then now supinated extension. Ooh. With flexion. Really keeping those elbows locked, that's important. Oh, neutral position, holy crap. Oh, extension, then flexion. Ooh. And now, going through those deviations. Back to pronation, radial deviation, then ulnar deviation. Notice my elbows are very locked. Triceps working hard too. Ooh, now supinated, radial deviation. Really try to extend your range of motion. It's going to be really hard at this point because you're pumped full of blood. Ooh, supinated, ulnar deviation. And now, last one, neutral position, radial deviation, and ulnar deviation. And shaking it out now. Oh, man. Do some of these. And then feels a lot of tension, so it's important to kind of shake it out after. Get the blood flowing again, loosen up, calm your nervous system. All right, there it is. Ooh, so I am pretty, look at that vein, pumped from that. Feels great. Another fantastic one is I'll do right after this. Let me put things on the floor now. Flip this. I'll do this on my knees. Let me show you from this way. Yeah, that'll be good. So I'll go through the same ranges of motion I was just doing. Biceps forward, elbows back, shoulders away from ears, everything nice in the line. I'm just going to kind of pulse up and down, putting a little tension on the muscles, a little bit of ballistic stretching here. Again, like 10 to 20 reps, whatever. Alright, the video got a little screwed up for whatever reason, so I'm going to try this again. So same thing, we were here, pulsing, and then you want to just flip it right around. So this was, what was this one? Pronation with extension, right? So now I got to do pronation with flexion. Same thing. Again, same cues, you know, body in line, shoulders away from ears, triceps locking those elbows, trying to point your elbows behind you, and just pulsing, you know, 10, 20 times, whatever. And then we can go from here. I like to go to neutral, and I'll do this a little differently. I'll go side to side, and that's fine, but also like to go in circles. That way I can kind of feel around these odd angles I don't usually get to, and kind of like stretch and find these little adhesions where my range of motion might feel a little limited. I just kind of break that up and find a little more range of motion. I'll go the other direction too, so clockwise, counterclockwise. Just kind of feel it out, maybe pulse where I feel a little tightness here. And then kind of keep going, try to find like another area where I feel a little bit off, like right here feels a little off. I'll pulse here for a little bit. Keep going. Yeah. Alright then. So this was what? Neutral with extension, right? So now I gotta do neutral with flexion. So on the back of the hands again. And same thing. I might go left or right at first, if that feels good. And then I might get a little bit more experimental and go little circles. Be careful when you're doing this one. Not many people are used to putting pressure on the wrist like this with, back of the hands on the ground. So don't make like crazy huge, circles. You can kind of just make tiny ones and kind of just figure out, okay, I feel tight here, so I'll pulse here. And just, other way, counterclockwise, clockwise, whatever. Oh, feel tight there, so pulse there a little bit. Break it up. Keep going. Alright, then I'll go to supinated with extension. Another good cue is to try to keep your fingers wide on these. Really open everything up. Now from here, same thing. Just pulsing back. And notice as I go back, I'm engaging my triceps so I can keep my elbow's back and my elbow joint pointed forward and really get a deep stretch into this forearm flexors, brachialis, all that good stuff. Now, I don't really like this one. I don't like the supinated with flexion. Feels a little awkward. And I feel like I've already kind of hit those areas here when I was doing like the, clockwise, counterclockwise. So I don't do that one. But what I do, what I do like to do is this one. Okay, so I've gone crazy, kind of like over pronated. Again, same thing, no shoulders up here, nice and back, pressing down. And then I like to do the same kind of thing I was doing standing, which is just curl the fingers. I'll do it a little bit slower here because it feels nice to me. And this really helps open up like tight elbow joints. You can see right now it almost looks like my elbows are freaking hyperextended. They're not. But they are quite straight. If you were to draw a straight line from like the middle of my wrist up into my shoulder, there would be like a straight line from like here up into my armpit. The hell am I talking about? I swear doing all this, active stretching and blood flow work gets you almost like high or something. You just feel so good afterward. That's why I call it yoga, because it's really good for the mind too, man. I feel like once you loosen up these tight muscles and tendons and stuff, you can like think a little clearer too. That can cause some like aphasia, or like, almost like a speech impediment, but only for like a short period of time. That's all. It's just like, chemicals popping off in your brains and stuff, and a little bit of euphoria. Oh yeah, it feels good. Checking that out. That's pretty much it, man. Ooh yeah, that's the tendonitis preventer. So, good stretches, good active stretches, good blood flow work. And yeah, man, it's very yogic, using your mind, your body together. I feel great after I do this every time. So, highly recommend it, especially if you have any kind of like elbow pain or just tight joints and tendons in general. Feels great. It only takes like 10-ish minutes, give or take. All right, y'all take care.